Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
I am that dude, Bodkins. Patty to patty. It's ridiculous. No way. There's nobody else out there. He's your guy. Give a big round of applause for the one and only Bodkin Show. I'm going to repeat that again, folks. I didn't stutter. Welcome to the Bodkins Show. Welcome to the Bodkins Show, folks. Good evening. I am that dude, as always, Bodkins. This is our NFL Week 2 reaction show. And, folks, there is a lot to react to. Wow, what an incredible comebacks by several different teams. We're going to break it all down. Give our reactions, and of course at the back end of the show, K&K boys will be giving some nice fantasy advice. Speaking of K&K boys, I am always joined by my main man Craig with a K. There he is, and also Mr. Smoking Amigo Kenneth Miller. Good evening, boys. Wow, what an incredible week 2. I don't even know where to start. It was a lot of comeback finishes. We already got some comments rolling in. Alyssa Lindsay says, fins up. Hey, and if you're checking this out, follow Alyssa. She's the one that's making the cool Bodkin Show t-shirts. So follow her, get linked up with her if you want a Bodkin Show t-shirt. But fins up. Wow. Tanner jumping in here too. The gang's all here. That's right. The gang is all here. So no baby yet for Kenny, right?
No, not yet. It'll be any day now, man. It'll definitely be this week, but we're not quite there yet, apparently.
All right. So this might be the last time we see Kenny for the week. Who knows? Holding down the fort. Boys, let's jump into it here. We'll start on that Thursday night game. An incredible Kenny, let's flash up the score. You want to flash up the picks first, I guess, before we get into it?
You want to go picks or you want schedule?
Let's do the schedule. Yeah, let's pop up the schedule here.
You got it. Yeah, boss.
There it is. There's the final score. So we'll go right across here, folks. Starting with the Chiefs and the Chargers. Absolute dog fare here. It was a good, close game. The Chiefs were, 7.5 favorite, Kenny?
6.5, I believe.
6.5 going in. Looked like the Chargers had a chance there. There was a tie game, but Chargers were driving, and then all of a sudden, boom, pick six going the other way. Chargers going to Charger. Chiefs end up taking the lead, never look back, scored 13 points in that fourth quarter. Justin Herbert, nice game other than that one bad interception. 33 of 48, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Mike Williams, a huge night with what's his name that was hurt? Now I'm drawing a blank. Oh boy,
Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen, thanks. Yeah, see, that's why you guys are here. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams to the rescue, 8 receptions, 113 yards, and a touchdown. Gerald Everett, I believe, was one of y'all's must starts, right? 6 receptions, 71 yards for him. You look at the Chiefs side here. Patty Mahomes does his thing, 2 touchdowns for 235. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 8 carries for 74. And then just offensively, again, Travis Kelce, 5 catches, 51 yards. They continue to spread the ball around. We're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different Chief receivers caught a ball. Craig, what's your thoughts here on this early on the Thursday night game?
So, looking at the game and the final score, it went a lot like I thought. I thought it was going to be a close game. I took Kansas City on the money line, and I took the Chargers to cover. And we talk about it all the time, man. Unfortunately, the Chargers just find ways to lose close games. And, I don't know how many times we can say that the Chargers, outplayed their opponent for most of the game, and a couple of mistakes cost them. But, it seems like they do that a lot, and that's kind of what happened here. And I mean, Kansas City, you got to tip your hat to teams like that, man. When they come out and they don't play their best football, they don't have their best game, and they find a way to pull out a win at home against, a top division opponent. That's just what the good teams do, man. So Chiefs fans got to be happy to be able to pull out a game like that when they don't play their best football. Chargers have a lot of good things to take away from that game as long as Justin Herbert can come back healthy. But they've got to find ways to win the games when they do enough to win a game.
Kenny, I mean, we both had the Chiefs covering here. Good teams win, great teams cover, but unfortunately, Chiefs didn't cover. Chargers going to Charger?
Yeah, Chargers always going to Charger. I mean, we kind of knew that going in. That's what we always said. They're notorious for keeping it close. The Tuesday spread, actually, which is what the slides are made off of, what we did our picks on was 3.5. So either way, Chargers covered. But Mahomes said preseason, man, he said, sorry to fantasy managers, but we're going to spread the ball around. And boy, he wasn't lying. He spreads it around a lot. Everybody's playing really well. Defense is making plays when they have to. I don't know. We kind of talked about in group on McAfee show this week with Coach Pagano. He was talking about they got this dude out there, number 35. Number 35, we're going to test him. Boy, they did, and he went pick 6 on him. So, it's if the Chiefs defense is going to be opportunistic like that with Patty Mahomes controlling the offense the way he does and marching down the field, the Chiefs are going to be hard to beat. That's why we picked them to cover. And they're my number one rule. I'm going to pick them to cover every week.
Yeah, unfortunately that didn't happen, but Craig got that one right. And then let's get into it here. The next game, I mean, what a thriller here. The Jets and the Browns. I mean, the Jets were down. I saw this. Something they were down 13. They scored the most 13 points with under 2 minutes to go and to win the game. No team has done that since like the 2001 Bears. So that's kind of what it was flashed on. Joe Flacco looking like Joe Flacco old, 26 and 44, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns for Joe Flacco. Bryce Hall got in the mix, 7 carries, 50 yards. I mean, boys, this is why they drafted Garrett Wilson. 8 receptions, 102 yards, 2 touchdowns, including the game winner. Corey Davis sighting, 2 catches for 83 and a tutter. Breece Hall also hauled in 1. And then the Browns, who just fell apart here, Jacoby Brissett, 229 yards, 1 touchdown. It was a Nick Chubb day, and it looked like the Browns were going to be okay running the ball. 17 carries, 87 yards, 3 tutters. But at the end of the day, Amari Cooper had a nice game, nine receptions for 101 yards and a tutter. But at the end of the day, I mean, Joe Flacco puts the Jets on their back, Kenny. And wow, Jets take one in Cleveland. You have the Browns winning the division, and the Jets go into Cleveland, and they stick it to them.
Hey, Jets are just better than everybody thought, right? Joe Flacco told everybody he was elite. No, man, who in the world saw this coming? I was sitting there, I was going against Chubb in fantasy today, just watching him rack them up, thinking, well, my Browns pick looks good. I even told you guys in group, that my Browns pick looked good. And then who would have guessed give up, 2 touchdowns in 2 minutes? And, I seen a video come out and said, if Nick Chubb, instead of running that last one down, if he just would have went down, they run the clock out, they win the game. Instead, he runs it in, and they give the Jets the ball back. Jets score. There's 3 on. Landez texted me today. He said, we just had 3 onside kicks within a minute of real life time. There was about 3 onside kicks. And I mean, what a wild day. What a wild game. Good for Joe Flacco to go out there and get one. Good for Bob Saleh. Good for Breece Hall and Tinkertown. But good for the Jets, man. What the hell happened to the Browns?
What was the spread on that? That was a pick 'em, right?
Cleveland by 6 was the spread.
Cleveland was like 6-point favorite.
And me and Craig had that one right. We both picked. We were on the Jets. Craig, I mean, Jets, I think we picked them both to cover, but I'm surprised they won. What about you here?
Yeah, I'm surprised they won too. I mean, I did take them to cover. And honestly, my biggest takeaway from this game is I'm worried about Cleveland's defense. If Cleveland is going to stay involved here, while Jacoby Brissett is at the helm, that defense has got to play better. They can't give up 31 points to the Jets and expect to win some football games here. Credit to Joe Flacco, man. I mean, sending the old AFC North quarterback back to Cleveland. I mean, if there's one thing that all the AFC quarterbacks know how to do is win a ball game in Cleveland. So Flacco back in familiar territory. It did look like, I mean, that game was over. Cleveland was managing the clock, running the football the way they wanted to. I even texted in group, like, all I wanted was the Jets to cover. I mean, I didn't even think they had a chance to cover at that point, less than 2 minutes in the game. Like Kenny said, who saw this one coming? The only person I know that saw this one coming was Chris Landis. So, I mean, credit to him. We were talking about it earlier. He said the Jets were going to win. I didn't feel confident enough to go that far, but I took them to cover and didn't really feel great about that. But yeah, my takeaway from this game, man, I'm worried about Cleveland's defense because as long as Deshaun Watson is out, their defense is going to have to play better.
Yeah, I mean, you let Joe Flacco do you dirty like that. 4 touchdowns. I mean, he just went off today. Looked like old Flacco on that Super Bowl run for sure. I mean, like it was definitely one of the shockers of the day. I mean, I wouldn't say like as far as win, it was definitely a shocker. I had him to cover, but definitely kind of the shocker is. Yeah, I mean, really, now I don't know about the shocker of the day. I mean, there's a lot of shocker of the days, but definitely a comeback of the day, and there's a lot of them. But to be down 14 like that and to come back and win, kudos to them. The Browns going to Brown. You're going to hear a lot of that, I feel like, today, right? Like we had a lot of teams that, well, they are who we thought they were. Let's get into a team that maybe we didn't think who they were. The Detroit Lions. This was the first time they were favored in 22 games. And by God, they didn't disappoint. Dan Campbell had the boys rolling and ready. I mean, Jared Goff just looks really good. I mean, 20 of 34, 4 touchdowns for 256. I mean, but it helps when you got a guy named Amon-Ra St. Brown, 9 receptions, 116 for 2 touchdowns. Josh Reynolds had a touchdown. DeAndre Swift with a receiving touchdown. Amon St. Brown even had 2 carries for 68 yards. Jamal Williams chipped in with 12 carries for 53 yards. And then you look at, Carson Wentz is going to Carson Wentz. Throws a bad interception. Took a while for the Commanders to get going. Did bounce back later on. Once they got down, Wentz threw for 3 touchdowns to 337 yards. I mean, the Lions got an offense that's, are they humming here? Dan Campbell got the boys humming and biting kneecaps. So.
Yeah, I mean, so far, if there's one thing we know, Detroit can score some points. I mean, they've done that 2 weeks in a row now. I don't know that I'm ready to say that the Lions aren't who we think that they are because they played, it looked like they were manhandling Washington for the first half, and then they kind of let them back in the game. It seems like Detroit's always either down a lot or up a lot, and then somehow late in the game, it becomes a close game. So I'd like to see Detroit kind of put it together for an entire game. But their offense can score points. Their defense can give up some points, but we've seen now that their defense is also capable of making some big plays. So, Detroit, they're not the Lions. They're not the easy out Lions. They're going to be a tough out for anybody that they're playing, but I'd like to see Detroit kind of put it together for 4 quarters. How much of it was Detroit playing good defense and how much of it was Carson Wentz being Carson Wentz, the Carson Wentz that we know. So I'm not quite ready to say that Detroit isn't who we think they are.
Kenny, before we get to you real quick, I got to shout out my man, Dave Harris real quick. He's dealing with some illness, so I know that Jets comeback win. They fought just like Dan's been fighting his whole life to get that win. So, Dan, get better. Enjoy that Jets win. I know they come very rarely, so I had to shout that out. Kenny, what's your thoughts real quick here on this Lions-Commanders? I mean, Commanders got down big, fought back. I thought Detroit's defense was going to be better this year, but this is kind of 2 games where teams have kind of put up some points, but today they were able to Jared Goff slinging it all over the place like he's throwing it back to Kupp and Woods back in the Super Bowl run.
No, I think the Lions are good, man. I'm not going to say real good yet, but they're showing that they're a lot better than we thought they were. They're scoring points. Who thought the Lions scored 30 points 2 weeks in a row? I think that as far as saying Washington fought back, they definitely did, but you got to think how hard it is to play corner in the NFL. And then to sit there whenever a team's down like Washington, they're going to throw it nonstop over and over and over again, and you're running down the field 40, 50 yards at a time. I mean, everybody's going to get wore out, and that's when those teams start coming back when they're just throwing it nonstop. So I don't really look at that as much, but kudos to Washington for fighting back. But, man, Dan Campbell's got them boys you guys know I get hooked on the Hard Knocks trap. It gets me. I watched Hard Knocks. I love what Dan Campbell's doing there. I think they got all the guys really in a good mindset. Jamal Williams cried first day of camp. I mean, those guys are emotionally invested, and you're seeing it. And Jared Goff is getting more comfortable. I think Tanner pointed that out. Yeah, you showed that up there. He is getting more comfortable. He's starting to feel better. The team's supporting him. Dan Campbell, every time he's seen him, just said good stuff to him, always positive. And I think the Lions got something going there.
They definitely do. They cover the spread. So, hey, Chiefs fans, the Chiefs can't do what the Lions can, and that's cover the dang spread, boys. Let's get into it. Hey, speaking of covering the spread, both you boys apologize. I demand a public apology right now from both of you from not picking Thomas Wayne Brady II. You guys both turned your back on the GOATs. Explain yourselves as Tom Brady and the boys get it done. I mean, there was ejections, there was fights, but at the end of the day, GOAT's gonna do GOAT's things, and Jameis Winston is gonna do Jameis Winston things, and that's throw 2 bad interceptions that cost his team. Kenny, apologize right now to Thomas Wayne Brady as the Bucs took care of the Saints 20-10.
Not going to happen, bro. Listen, exactly what we told you of why we were picking the Saints is exactly what happened. The Bucs played a bad game. You can say that Brady is going to do GOAT things, but Brady also did a lot to put him in that situation where it was a close game the whole time. Jameis Winston is Jameis Winston. I mean, that at the end of the day, that is what it is. But we told you that Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore were going to go at it. And we told you that it was going to take Evans out of the game, and it literally took Evans out of the game. So I'm
took
not going to
Marshawn out of the game too. Took Marshawn out of the game too.
Maybe it did, but I mean, we're 100% literally accurate on that. So why would we apologize for being right? I'm not going to apologize for being right.
Craig, I expect an apology here for the GOAT, for you guys disrespecting the GOAT. I was on Buck Island by myself, and man, it feels good here to be on Buck Island.
Hey man, I'm a sucker for rolling with trends, and like you said, goats are going to do what goats do, and what the GOAT does is go down to New Orleans and lose football games in a Buccaneers uniform. So that's why I picked against him. He was 0-4 coming into this game and 4 shots at it. So I mean, goats are going to do GOAT things, and that's what we've seen him do. So I mean, that's why I went that way. The Mike Evans Marshawn Lattimore matchup is always great in this one, and it's like the ejections was a turning point, man. Like, I mean, it was a 3-3 game, I believe, when the ejections happened, and that's not where you necessarily want to be if you're New Orleans. But I mean, having Tampa at 3 points, I mean, that kind of is where you want to be at home there in a tie ball game. And then it seemed like after that happened, man, Tampa just kind of pulled away. New Orleans made some mistakes, and I mean, I guess in a crucial game like that, I'm going to trust Tom Brady not to make a mistake way more than I'm going to trust Jameis Winston not to make the mistake. But like I said, man, we've seen Tom Brady go down and lose games in New Orleans the last couple of years. So that's why I bet against him. And I mean, if this game was on the slate next week, I might bet against him again, to be honest.
Hey, that's what you guys get. That's why y'all taking 2 L's right there for picking against the GOAT that is Tom Brady. Hey, you don't fire up Tom Brady. You see what they was doing. Hey, you said the game turned around the ejections. That's because Tom Brady said what to Marcus Lattimore, and because Tom Brady knows he ain't going to have to fight that man. Somebody else is going to have to fight that man. That's like me getting in a fight at the bar, and you guys got to fight for him because I talked some shit to the guy, and you guys got to step in because I'm not fighting him. And that's what Tom Brady did, and that's what Mike Evans did for Tom Brady. Got the crew fired up. Tom Brady put it on him. And you want to talk about trends, Craig? How about 20-year trends of Tom Brady doing Tom Brady things? And how about 5-year trend of Jameis Winston doing Jameis Winston things? And that's throwing picks, brother. That's the trend. That's life trends, brother. All right, let's get into it here. The very next game, the Giants holding off. Hey, let's be Yankee fan here. Our boy Johnny chiming in. 0-4 against Sean Payton. This is a new Saints team, not Sean Payton led team. Good point there.
Listen, after those ejections, the Bucs could afford to lose Mike Evans more than the Saints defense could afford to lose Marshawn Lattimore. And that's what happened. I mean, you can say what it is, but you take both those pieces off those units, and it was a bigger difference for the Saints defense. That's what happened.
Yeah, let's get into this next game here. The Panthers go into, what was the spread here? I know it was a pick 'em 2.5, a pick 'em game. The Giants cover. Graham hits was it Graham? I don't know their field goal kicker. Let me look, see if it's down here. Is it Graham? I don't know. Trying to find their kicker. I think it's Graham. Kicks a 50-yarder, like a 56-plus yarder to give the Giants the lead. They're able to wear it off or run it down. Nice game here. Saquon's still healthy. Didn't get the touchdown, but still 21 carries, 72 yards. Daniel Jones didn't turn the ball over, and that's what you're asking Daniel Jones. Please do not turn the ball over. Did throw for one touchdown, only 176 yards. The one touchdown went to Daniel Bellinger. And then we go over to the Panthers here. Baker, similar game to Danny Jones, 14 to 29 for 145 and a touchdown. Didn't have the interception. Christian McCaffrey looks to be fully back and fully healthy, folks. 15 carries, 102 yards. DJ Moore caught the only touchdown grab. Defensive battle, but the Giants pull it off, able to run the clock out after they kicked the long field goal. Craig, what's your thoughts here? Giants 2-0 for the first time in a long time. Hey, we said it last week. Dayball got them boys cooking, right?
Hey, it looks like, the Giants have got a little recipe for success going here. If Saquon Barkley can stay healthy and they can get the ball in his hand 20 times a game and keep Danny Dimes throwing the ball less than 20 times a game, then, they seem to be in all right shape. I just don't know how well their defense is going to hold up throughout the season. I'd like to see that a little bit more. They played well today against Carolina, but I'm off the Carolina bandwagon, man. Carolina stinks. Baker stinks. So, I'm off the Carolina bandwagon. But the Giants got something cooking, man. I like what Daboll's got going there with the guys. And like I said, they kind of got a little recipe for success going here. So if they can keep it up, the NFC East, man, that thing's a wide open battle. So you never know. The Giants could be in the mix of it.
Kenny, Craig kind of alluded to, as long as the Giants seem to stay tough defense and stay in games and don't get behind where they're asking Danny Dimes to really be Danny Dimes. I don't even know how he get that freaking nickname, but that's the game plan, right?
If you don't turn the ball, if you win the turnover battle, you're in the game, and anytime you can do that. Danny Jones is athletic enough. I think whenever he's given a chance in Daboll's offense, I think Daboll does a good job of hiding him. He lets him be efficient. He doesn't force him to try to make too many plays. He kind of lets the plays happen around him. He lets Saquon be Saquon. He didn't have a great day today, but he had a good enough day. And they're good up front. Leonard Williams was really putting pressure up the middle on that Panthers offensive line. And I know that McCaffrey had a good day, but it really gave Baker fits. And you saw him kind of get to him a few times, and it really changed things. So I think as long as the front's going to get to the quarterback like that a little bit and Danny Dimes can protect the football, then, man, the Giants got a chance to be good. Dayball's going to have a good offensive system there.
All right, let's get into – you guys wouldn't apologize to the GOAT of quarterbacks, so I demand another apology. Both you jabronis picked against the greatest coach of all freaking time in Bill Belichick. You guys were jumping on the Steelers bandwagon saying, oh, the Patriots offense looks real bad. Steelers by a mile. Steelers. And what happens? Bill Belichick gets it freaking done. I tried telling you, boys, listen to Bodkins. Bill Belichick's not going 0-2. I called it. I was right. I hammered it. I said I'm on Patriot Island. Craig, apologize to Bill Belichick right freaking now. And your boy Mitch Trubisky looked like, Mitch Trubisky back in Chicago.
Yeah, I cannot give Bill an apology because the way he looked in week one, I feel like I can still justify the way that I went in this game. It kind of came down to who could make a play, Mitch Trubisky or Mac Jones, because this was a defensive game. And Mac Jones made a few throws that Mitch didn't make, and that was kind of the difference in this one. Neither offense looked that good, but the Patriots offense was able to make a couple more plays. And Mitch is going to have to do something, man. I mean, I know the Steelers and Mike Tomlin, they've all come out and said, that Mitch is not on a short leash and this is not a Chicago situation. But, I mean, the fans, if the offense is going to continue to look like this and Kenny Pickett's sitting on the sidelines, the fans are going to be, I mean, they're going to make it hurt, So Patriots defense is no slouch. I mean, so tough matchup. Pittsburgh offense got to do a little bit more, man. Their defense is good enough to win games, and coming into the season, I was on the bandwagon of Mitch is better than last year's Ben Roethlisberger, so this team should be a little bit better. So the offense has got to show some signs.
Yeah, neither offense did a whole lot to write about. You alluded to it. Mac Jones, 252, 1 yards, 1 touchdown. Damian Harris had 15 carries, 71 yards, and a touchdown. Nelson Aguilar sighting, folks, 6 receptions for 110 and 1 touchdown. I mean, the Steelers' offense absolutely didn't do hardly anything here. Najee Harris, less than 50 yards rushing, 15 carries. Mitch Trubisky, I mean, only 168 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Kenny, apologize to the GOAT of coaching and Bill Belichick. I mean, I tried telling you guys, Bill's not going 0-2.
All right, this is one I'll give you. I'll apologize to Bill Belichick. I don't know why I thought for a second that he wasn't going to go give Mitch Trubisky fits, and he absolutely did that. Kudos to the Pats going and getting one in Pittsburgh. I really kind of thought that not necessarily Pittsburgh was going to have something good going, but I thought that it would seem like New England was taking long enough to figure it out that maybe Pittsburgh go get one. So kudos to the Patriots. Like I kind of said before when we were talking, man, it wasn't necessarily a great game, but it was a game that they did enough to win the ball game. And so they still gave the Steelers a chance at the end to go out and win one when Minka went and got the ball back. But now kudos to Bill and the Patriots, man. I'll give you that apology. I'm not going to give you the Brady one, but I'll give you that one.
All right, I'll take it. I'll take it right there. Kenny Miller's first ever apology of his life. I never even heard it. Know the man 20-plus years. All right. Hey, let's get into the next game. Absolutely stink fest. The Colts go down into Jacksonville and Duval County. Last year they went there, had a chance to clinch and make the playoffs. This year they just go down there and, poop the bed again. A little preview of what I'm about to say later. I'm going to hold off on that till Turd of the Week. But Jacksonville, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, Kenny, looks like Trevor Lawrence that we expected him to be coming out of Clemson. Am I correct here?
I mean, he looks a lot better under Doug Peterson than he ever did under Urban Meyer, right? I mean, we can definitely say that. I think the Jags, just as a whole, you can tell that Doug Peterson knows how to run a pro football team. Urban Meyer might be a great college coach, but he had no idea how to run a pro locker room. And Doug Peterson does, I mean, Jacksonville's been picking at the top of the draft for a while, so they've got some dudes. Even the dudes they traded away, they still got Josh Allen. They still got some guys down there. ETN's back. So as long as Lawrence is going to keep making progression now with Doug Peterson there, then I think almost like the Lions, I'm not going to say that they're good yet, but I am going to say that they're a lot better than people thought they were going to be. So kudos to the Jags for that. Colts are definitely a lot worse than everybody thought they were going to be. You can't feel very good about your Super Bowl pick there, that's for sure. Who in the world would have thought, like you said in group today, man, they went out and got Matt Ryan simply to go down to Jacksonville, do what Carson Wentz couldn't. And he went down there and looked worse somehow. I mean, he didn't look worse, but the team went down there and looked worse. So, I mean, who in the world would have seen that coming? The defense is – are they missing Eberflus? I was thinking about that whenever the Bears came on. I was watching the Bears defense, And, man, maybe the Colts are just missing Matt Eberflus and that defensive coordinating, just him in the meeting room or something. But there's definitely something going wrong with the Colts right now.
Yeah, I mean, we're the Jags. I mean, nice game with Trevor Lawrence, like I alluded to, 235 for 2 touchdowns, 25 of 30. I mean, very efficient. Only 5 incomplete passes there. James Robinson, heavy workload, 23 carries, 64 yards. Christian Kirk, I mean, they brought him in. Everybody said, man, they spent way too much money, but he's proven it. 6 receptions, 78 yards for 2 touchdowns. Kenny, you alluded to, Carson Wentz Matt Ryan looking like Carson Wentz, and that's exactly what he looked like. 16 of 30 for 195 yards, 3 freaking touchdowns, or 3 interceptions, Craig. I mean, what's going on here in Indy?
Yeah, since you're on the topic of public apologies today, you should throw out a public apology to Phillip Rivers, because I told you that Phillip Rivers was a better quarterback for the Colts than Matt Ryan, and Phillip Rivers ain't going to go put a goose egg up down in Jacksonville with 3 picks, even if they were going to lose the game. But no, man, Indy's got to be worried. You're coming out here. Your first 2 games of the season are against the Texans and the Jags, 2 teams that are supposed to be at the bottom of your division, and you're competing for the top of it, and you don't come out with a win against either one of them. Shaq Leonard's been out. Matt Eberflus is gone. That defense is missing a lot, of pieces that it had before. But the offense has got to put up more than 0. At the end of the day, whatever the defense is doing out there, the offense has got to score some points. So Indy wasn't able to get the run game going. I know that like half their receiving core was hurt this game. So, that puts a strain on the passing game. But Indy's got to be worried. Jacksonville, it's a good sign, man. The offense looked good. Trevor Lawrence looked good, clicking with Christian Kirk. James Robinson's out there. What do you have, like 19, 20 carries today, something like that? I felt like they fed him the ball a lot. So some good stuff to build on here for Jacksonville. Like Kenny said, man, Doug Peterson is obviously a pro football coach. He's changed the culture down there. A 180 pretty dang quick.
Hey, let's answer this question here by Johnny, who's chiming in. Bigger disappointment so far, Colts, Bengals. I think we're all in agreement. It's got to be the Colts, right? The tie to the Texans and the Jaguars.
I'm going to say Colts because, yes, the 2 opponents are 2 teams that they should have definitely beat, and because I've kind of been saying, for a while that I think the Bengals are going to struggle a little bit out of the gate. It's not unusual to see that out of the Super Bowl loser.
I'll say Colts too. You can't go to Jacksonville and get shut out. That's no matter what, you can't do that. Tying the Texans were in a lot of games last year they probably shouldn't have been. So, I even kind of said whenever we were talking a couple shows ago that I thought the Texans were a little better than people thought they were. But I think, listen, I understand that Tanner's really going to ride this Colt injury bug down here. But, man, at the end of the day, you cannot go down there and get shut out. I don't care how many people you don't have. You still got Jonathan Taylor back there. You still got your whole entire offensive line. And you brought in Matt Ryan for a reason. You got to go down there and at least score points. I will say the Bengals were a disappointment. The Bengals aren't missing pieces, but they still went down – or the Bengals had to play the Steelers. The Steelers look good against the Patriots. The Bengals went and lost to the Colts or the Cowboys today with Cooper frickin' Rush. So the Bengals were definitely a disappointment, but the Colts went down there and got shut out. So I'm going to go with the Colts.
And we'll get to the Bengals here in just a little bit. We got a couple more. Our last morning game here. Maybe the fastest game, if you lined up everybody on both these teams, might be the 2 fastest teams in all of NFL. If you put both these teams together, I guarantee they're winning gold medals in relay races and track. I guarantee almost that. Tua, we've said this multiple times, Tua's got the most pressure, him and Jalen Hurts, of any 2 quarterbacks. By God, Tua showed out today. He threw not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 touchdowns in a comeback win over the Ravens. This game was absolutely insane. 2 of 6, like I said, 6 touchdowns, 469 yards, did throw 2 interceptions. Tyreek Hill, how about this, boys? Tyreek Hill, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle, 11 catches for 171 and 2 touchdowns. Mike Gesicki got in on the action as well. 4 catches, 41 yards for a tutter. And then you get to the Ravens. There was no defense in this game whatsoever. Lamar had 3 touchdowns, 318 yards. Also 9 carries for 119 and a touchdown. Rashad Bateman, 4 receptions, 108 yards and a touchdown. Mark Andrews, 9 catches, 104 yards and a touchdown. This is a fantasy owner's dream. Am I right in saying that, Kenny? This game was absolutely nuts.
Yeah, fantasy owner's dream. Look at it, man. It's 42-38 score. You got dudes out there throwing 6 touchdowns. Lamar running all over the place. It's definitely a fantasy lover's dream. What a game, man. What a game. Kudos to the Dolphins fighting back. There for a while, it looked like the Ravens just kind of going to put it on them. And then out of nowhere, that whole entire thing turned around. Waddle got loose. Tyreek Hill got loose. I mean, it seemed like every time I looked up my phone, I had an update. Tyreek Hill scored. Jalen Waddle scored. Dolphins did something else. Lamar ran one back. Rashad Bateman scored. So, I mean, from the very first kick, Devin Duvernay ran that son of a gun back. I mean, nonstop, this game was action-packed. It was a very, very good game. It was a fun game to watch. Kudos to Mike McDaniel and what's going on down there with the Dolphins, man.
Fins 2-0, Craig. What was the spread there, Kenny? It was
3.5.
3.5 Ravens, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, not only did the Dolphins go into Baltimore and just put it on what used to be a vaunted Ravens defense. I mean, the speed of the Dolphins and all this, hey, Tua can't throw the deep ball, all that out the window after these first two games, Craig, huh?
Mostly out the window. A couple of those deep balls that Tua threw were still a little bit underthrown, but I mean, he could underthrown them by 10 yards. I mean, Baltimore's defense is nowhere around. Kind of like Kenny alluded to earlier, man, sometimes these teams get into situations where they're just throwing the ball downfield every play because they're behind, and DBs get wore out. Well, when it's Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle that you're running up and down the field with play after play, man, they're going to get wore out. And Baltimore's defense just looked gassed there in the fourth quarter, man, and credit to Miami. They took advantage and shredded them up and put some points up in a hurry, changed the momentum in that game. And, I mean, yeah, like you said, Baltimore came out, looked like they were going to cruise to a double-digit victory, and Miami came back, put it on them. I guess I'll say I'm a little bit more of a believer in what they have going after this game. I know preseason I said that Tua can't carry two top 20 wide receivers, but 2 weeks in, he's making me eat crow on that so far. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, both monster days today.
Yeah, I hear, boys. I'm going to apologize now to Tua and the Dolphins. I was kind of poo-pooing them beginning of the year. I wasn't quite buying in. I was dead wrong on week 2. Already, I am 180 on that. I'm all in on the Dolphins, baby. I mean, they look like a lot of fun, slinging the ball all over the place. They have weapons. Now I'm probably giving them the Bodkins curse, so they'll probably lose their next 3 out of their next 4 games. So their defense has got to tighten up. Only gave up 10. Yeah, the defense only gave up 10 in the second half. I mean, just turned it around. I'm all in on the Dolphins here. I was poo-pooing them in the season. People were saying they're a playoff team. I said, no, they're not. But by God, they look like one right now, and they look like they could be serious business with that offense. Kudos to those boys. So I will apologize to the Dolphins and give them the Bodkins curse here. They'll probably lose the next 3. The Dolphins lose the next 3 of their next 4 games, folks. You can blame it on me. Let's go ahead and get into these afternoon games, the later games. Rams 31-27. I mean, they were up big here, but then they started fumbling the football, turning it over. Falcons make it a game late. They scored 17 points in the fourth, had a chance. Mariota throws a pick in the end zone. Really, it was a pick, but Jalen Ramsey just made a hell of a play. Secures the win for the Rams. Marcus Mariota, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I mean, not much in the running game from anybody. Drake London shows why they drafted him. 8 catches, 86 yards, and 1 touchdown. Cooper Kupp just does his thing over and over again. 11 receptions, 108 yards, 2 touchdowns. Allen Robinson sighting, folks, 4 receptions, 53 yards, and a touchdown. Matthew Stafford did have 2 picks. I told you guys they almost fumbled it. It looked like, Craig, the perfect bounce back game here for the Rams, but I mean, just started fumbling it late and just held on.
Yeah, it was the perfect bounce back game. I mean, at home against a team like Atlanta, the Rams came out and looked like, what you expected them to look like at home in a bounce back game. And then just sloppy play, man. The Rams have got to be a little bit worried about that because that's 2 weeks in a row now that they've played kind of sloppy on offense. And I don't know if they got a little lackadaisical because they, thought they had this one wrapped up or what, but Atlanta is not a team you can just kind of sleep on. But the fumbles, big deal. And then Matt Stafford, Matt Stafford's going to throw 3 or 4 touchdowns and 2 picks. That's kind of usually what his line looked like. But yeah, I think if you're the Rams, you're coming out with the W, but it's not exactly how you wanted to see it go down.
Kitty, what's your thoughts here? Rams, like I said, look like the Super Bowl champs for about 3 quarters of this game. And then the fourth quarter looked like the team they did on Thursday night.
I mean, it's easy whenever you're up big to kind of like Craig said, get a little lackadaisical and just give up. Not necessarily give up, but it's hard to look up the scoreboard and see that you're up a bunch and keep that same energy. So kind of like we said with Washington coming back on the Lions. Now it's a completely different situation with the Rams and the Lions, but just whenever you got a team that they know they got to score points, they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. They're going to be trying like the Falcons were. They're going to have a chance to come back a little bit. Surprised I got it back to 4. But I did pick him to cover, so I figured it'd be a little closer than what it looked like early on. But no, man, we was that game was on, and I came in. My wife said Falcons only down 4. I said, "You've got to be shitting me!" And then, man, I'll be damned if they didn't bring it back all the way to 4. So the Falcons are going to stay in a lot of games, man. They're going to cover a lot of spreads. I kind of said that on the pick show, but hey, Rams are still hungover. Johnny ain't lying. Me and Craig been saying that the whole time that the hangover's real, and you see with the winners, they're hungover from the celebration, and the losers a little hungover from drowning their sorrows out. But I think the Rams are going to get it together, but I don't look at the Falcons coming back as like the panic button for the Rams. Let's see what they do next week, but they definitely had to go out and get a win this week.
Let's get the next game here. 49ers 27-7. Geno Smith on Monday night after their big one said, "Hey, people wrote me off. I ain't write them back." Well, Geno, you should have wrote them back because you deserve to be written off. I mean, but more importantly here for the 49ers, Trey Lance breaks his ankle, has to have ankle injury, or ankle surgery. But, I mean, 49ers really kind of put it on the Seahawks. Seahawks are who we thought they were. They're going to be a bottom team. Geno Smith, only 197 yards of interception, nothing to note of anything. Tyler Lockett did have a nice game, 9 receptions, 107 yards. 49ers, I mean, Jimmy, how smart do the 49ers look now, Kenny? I mean, with not trading Jimmy G, he had a nice game. Your typical Jimmy G game, 154 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, how smart do they look now not trading Jimmy? I mean, because they'd be in a world of hurt if they had.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looks like a genius move now. We'll see. I think that it's going to work out well for him. I think that Jimmy's going to have a lot of games like he did today. He's going to protect the football. He's going to throw for 150 to 225 yards and 1 or 2 touchdowns and maybe 1 interception, but probably not more than that. As long as the defense is going to play okay. And I think that it helped on Monday night that Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf were telling the entire defense that exactly what Russell Wilson was doing. And they didn't have that today. And so I think you could kind of tell, and it showed. But the Niners, I mean, if they never had Trey Lance, is exactly who we expected them to be. So, I mean, I don't think anybody's going to be shocked. I think we were more shocked last week that they lost to Chicago than we are that they went out and put it on the Seahawks today. So good for the Niners for getting it back on track. Definitely, like Johnny said, man, this is going to be Trey Lance's shot, and it sucks for him to go down this way, but it definitely works out for Shanahan and Lynch and company to still have Jimmy there on roster.
Craig, I mean, the 49ers just put it on the Seahawks. It was an 8.5 spread. They covered that and then some. We all kind of thought, hey, 8.5 was kind of high, but I mean, wasn't high enough, I guess.
Yeah,
can you ever be high enough though?
So I mean, like Johnny's comment there, and like Kenny said, man, I mean, heartbroken for Trey Lance. First of all, you never like to see a dude's season end like that. Especially a young kid like that getting kind of his opportunity to shine, you know what I mean? You never like to see that. As far as the 49ers looking smart, man, sometimes it's just better to be lucky than it is to be smart, right? I mean, they kind of came out in the beginning and said that they were going to shop Jimmy G and just try to do him right in the process. And they weren't able to find that partner and ended up working a deal out to keep him around. And, I mean, they've lucked out. To me, moving forward and picking these games, I mean, the 49ers are a bigger threat in my eyes now with Jimmy G back at the helm than they were with Trey Lance. I've been saying all along I thought there would be growing pains there in San Francisco. So, I mean, at the end of the day, for the organization or the team on the field, it's somewhat of a blessing, I think, to have Jimmy G back in I mean, it's only 2 weeks in, but what I've seen out of the Rams, and now that I know that it's Jimmy G's job again there at San Francisco, I think that division's up for grabs.
Hey, so Johnny wants to know, what do the Niners do next year if they make a deep run with Jimmy? The same thing. They're going to go back to Trey Lance, I believe. I mean, they went to the Super Bowl and the NFC Championship game with the guy, and they still said, get him out. So I think we're all kind of in agreement on that.
Yeah, I am for sure. I think no matter what, you traded up to number 3 and you drafted Trey Lance, and no matter what, it's going to be his team. I think that the way that contract was structured for Jimmy to be gone at the end of the year, no matter what, I think everybody kind of knows that no matter what happens, this is just an audition for Jimmy to try to be the starter somewhere else. Like Tanner said, Trey's still the future no matter what. You drafted to do number 3, and it's going to be his team, at least until the end of that deal.
Yeah, for sure. It's not even on Jimmy. It's just everything they did to get Trey Lance. They have to give him that opportunity. They moved up to get him number 3 overall. And like you said, Jimmy's took him to a Super Bowl. He's took him to a conference title game. It's never been that, Jimmy can't get it done. It's just the fact that a healthy Trey Lance looks to be a more dynamic player, and they moved up to get him to be the future of the franchise. So, when he's healthy, it's got to be his opportunity.
Hey, here's the deal, though. If, like Tanner said, what if Trey's out half of next year, too? If you're Jimmy, are you coming back to start half of next year and then give the ball right back to Trey Lance? I'm not. If I
Probably
take
not.
you to, yeah, exactly. If I make a deep playoff run this year, there's no way I'm coming back to sign up to be Trey Lance's backup halfway through the year.
Yeah, and then he can be a free agent and go where he wants to go and find another team. Maybe Indy. Hey, let's go ahead get into the next game here. Bengals, this was, I think, the shock of the day, right? Cowboys beating the Bengals 20-17. That Cowboys defense all over Joey Burrow. Kenny, the Cowboys defense, they surprised you. And did Cooper Rush surprise you here? And I thought this Bengals offensive line was new and improved, but still stinky doo-doo.
Well, most of them weren't together during camp. Lyle Collins missed a lot of time. I'm not even 100% sure if he played today. I'm not surprised with the Cowboys defense. We kind of saw this last year. You know what I mean? They get to the quarterback better than they used to. Micah Parsons is a very good football player. He was in the backfield all day. So I'm more surprised that the Bengals didn't have a bounce back game on offense and kind of move the ball better against us, really. I know that Diggs made a couple plays, but we all know that Diggs is suspect too, as far as he's going to gamble a lot. And if you can work up with them double moves, which Jamar Chase is great at, I really figured Jamar Chase to have a good day. The Bengals have a good defensive line, and I really thought with our offensive line, as bad as I keep saying I don't play football, I just talk, but as bad as the Cowboys offensive line is banged up, I'm really shocked that the Bengals didn't have a better day against it and kind of get in the backfield a little more. So I would say shock of the day, but at the end of the day, man, the Cowboys was in a couple games with Andy Dalton. They was in a couple games with Danny Bonaducci or whoever that guy was, Ben DiNucci. So I'm not 100% surprised. Me and Craig have been saying since the very beginning of the offseason that the Bengals are going to struggle. And they're kind of showing us that the Bengals are going to struggle. And you said it in group today, as long as we're getting Joey B, this is the 7th game in a row they've had at least 3 sacks. If that's going to continue, it's going to be a long year. And it doesn't really matter how good that offense is, as far as the individual pieces. If Joey ain't got time to throw the ball to them, then they're going to struggle.
Craig, you've been saying Bengals are going to struggle, but I don't even think you saw this one coming.
No, on the pre-show, we all were pretty shocked that it was just a 7-point spread on this game. We thought with Dak Prescott being out, it'd be a lot different. The Bengals, the way they turned it on in the late part of the game in week 1, I just kind of thought that this would be a game, that they know Dak Prescott isn't playing in, that could kind of be a bounce back opportunity for them. But Dallas's defense showed up, man. And if the Cowboys defense can play the way they did today, then they're going to hang around in some ball games, man. They're going to be tough. A lot of it, like we've said, goes into the Bengals offensive line. They're always letting people in the backfield, but Micah Parsons was there the entire game. that's just kind of a disaster recipe there for the Bengals because Micah Parsons does it to everybody, and the Bengals seem to allow somebody on the other team to always do it. But Joe, like you said, I mean, 7 straight games, Joe Burrow's kind of used to this. We've seen Joe Burrow make plays even in games when he's got tons of pressure on him and pull him out. And Cincinnati had opportunities here, man. Kudos to Cooper Rush coming through with less than 2 minutes, making a few throws when he had to, didn't make any crucial mistake. And big win for the Cowboys, man.
Yeah, a huge win for the Cowboys. It was tie game. Bengals had an opportunity, but then couldn't get it done. Cowboys drive. I mean, Cooper Rush got that clutch gene hit there, and Cowboys kick a game winner. Cowboys 1-1 on the season. Bengals 0-2 on the season. They said this earlier today. No 0-2 team has made the playoffs the last 7 years. So you got to at least be 1-1 here these days. Let's get into the next game.
Hold on. Let me say this about the Cowboys. If I know that we looked very bad last week, if we're going to run the ball the way we did today, and Cooper Rush doesn't turn the ball over, they say Dak Prescott might come back week 5, week 6, a lot sooner than people thought. If Cooper Rush can keep the Cowboys in it, I mean, they're still going to be a playoff contender. I know everybody wrote them off last week. I wrote them off last week. As bad as they looked against the Bucs and Dak got hurt, I kind of figured that was the end of the line, and we were just looking forward to the draft. But, man, if Cooper Rush can just keep them competitive, it's the same thing I said about Jacoby Brissett and the Browns. If he can keep them about 500 when Deshaun Watson comes back, the Browns win the division. Well, if Cooper Rush can keep us a game or two over 500 when Dak comes back, we're kind of not necessarily in the driver's seat. I would still pick the Eagles, but we're not near as far behind as I thought.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I mean, you got to stay competitive and stay right around that 500 range and hope that you catch hot at the back end. Maybe some things fall your way.
Don't turn the ball over. Get to the quarterback. If we do those 3 things, we're going to have a chance.
100%. Let's get into the next game here. Broncos 16-9. They were 10-point favorites over the Texans and win 16-9. Couldn't cover. This game was real. I thought the Texans were almost going to pull this out here for the longest time. I mean, not really any noteworthy like stats that pop out of you on the Texans side. Have to settle for a lot of field goals. Russ Wilson just still can't get it going here in Denver. 219 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I mean, through the first 2 weeks, Russ has not been let Russ cook. It's been at times what we saw in Seattle, where he's either really hot or really cold, and Russ is starting off the season kind of cold here. Javonte and Melvin Gordon split the backfield carries. And then you look at Cortland Sutton as Jerry Jeudy went out, 7 receptions, 122 yards. But neither one of these teams look great. Craig, what's your thoughts here? I mean, Denver and the slow start here for Russ Wilson and the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm still kind of trying to figure these two teams out. I kind of figured the Texans were going to be good enough to hang around with a lot of teams this year and just not win a lot of football games. Anytime you give me double-digit spread and Lovie Smith, I'm going to take it. But, man, Denver just didn't look good, and Denver's come out now week 1 against Seattle, week 2 against Houston. Those are 2 teams that everybody kind of projects to be at the bottom of the league when it's all said and done, and Denver hasn't looked good against either one. And in the division that they're in, I mean, that's scary, man. You don't have a lot of time to get it together when you're chasing Kansas City, the Chargers. Even the Raiders have looked better than the Broncos have. So there's probably going to be some growing pains there, but I mean, they don't have a lot of time, for too much of it. They're going to have to figure some things out.
Kenny, what's your thoughts here on Broncos and Texans?
When the Broncos made that Russell Wilson trade, it was Super Bowl or bust, right? I mean, they were going all in. They were supposed to look a lot better than they do. We kind of said in the pick show that I'm going to pick the Texans to cover a lot of spreads, and I did, but I expected it to be a lot different than this, kind of on both sides. Honestly, if you would have told me that the Broncos only scored 16, I probably would have told you the Texans squeaked one out against them. So it was a little disappointing to see them not pull one out. Kind of like you said, I thought they were going to pull it out for a while. Craig alluded to it. There's going to be some growing pains, but, man, not like this. I mean, this is kind of like the Colts situation where, I know they got a win today, but at the end of the day, man, you gotta look better than what you do. You know, Javonte Williams is good. Melvin Gordon's good. That defense was supposed to be good. You got Cortland Sutton. Jerry Jeudy got hurt today, but they're saying the x-rays were negative, so he should be back. But you got to look better than what you do. You got to score more than 16 against the Texans. Even the god-awful Colts scored 20 against the Texans, so you got to be able to score more than 16 against them if you're really going to call yourself a Super Bowl contender. So we're going to have to see kind of what happens the next few weeks, how far. Yeah, no, exactly. Like Johnny said, you can't fall behind that division. You know, the Raiders gave one, which we'll get to that, but yeah, the Broncos, they got to put it together. It's got to start coming together faster than it is. That's for sure, I think.
All right, let's get into maybe the wildest game of the day. The Raiders were up 20-0 at halftime. The Cardinals come all the way back. I mean, Kyler Murray puts them on their back, puts the team on his back, shows why they paid the big money, runs in for a touchdown, then to pull it within 2 as regulation ended, and then scores throws a dart to AJ Green to get the 2-point conversion. Then the Cardinals kind of go 3 and out, and then the Raiders get the ball and they turn it over. I mean, it was like 3 close turnovers. It was like a turnover, but they fumble. Raiders recover. The next play, Derek Carr almost throws an interception. Then the next play, it is a fumble, scoop, score. Cardinals pull off the all the way comeback after being down 20-0 and win 29-3. What an incredible game for the Cardinals. I mean, Kenny, this almost saved the Cardinals. I mean, I know it's only week 2, but I mean, kind of almost saved their season, I feel like. Kyler Murray, 277 yards, had the 1 touchdown, but and also ran in for another touchdown. The passing touchdown went to Greg Dortch. So, I mean, what's your thoughts here? Save the season here?
I would say getting the win definitely saved where they were headed. I think that staying competitive and making a comeback, even if they had not got that 2-point conversion, if they had called that catch back for whatever reason, just making that comeback, I think, was going to be good for their season moving forward. Getting that win kind of changes a lot of things. You kind of see the Niners took a loss last week. Rams took a loss last week. Seahawks, now they're right back in it. So as long as they can kind of use this and build that momentum, I mean, at the end of the day, Raiders going to Raider, right? I mean, you said we were going to say that about a lot of teams, and the Raiders Raider. I mean, is sure-handed. Derwin James, I saw a clip this week from the shop, said Hunter Renfrow was that guy, put him on the Keenan Allen level. And then he fumbled twice on that final drive and then turned around and gave the Cardinals the ball back. So if they're going to do things like that, that's going to be the ultimate Raider, just like we saw kind of the ultimate Charger on Thursday night. So we'll see what happens with the Cardinals. This is something they can use to build a lot of momentum, and the Raiders got to have something. They got to have a bounce back next week.
Yeah, Craig, I mean, Johnny kind of alluded to it. He said he can't fall behind that division. Well, we kind of said in the pre-show, both these teams can't afford to go 0-2 in their respective divisions. And the Raiders here now fall 0-2, and just a heartbreaking loss at a game that you should win, up 20-0 at halftime. At home.
Yeah, this is I mean, to compete in this division, these are games you got to win. And we said it kind of in group when this was going down, man, are the Raiders about to Raider this game? I mean, good for Arizona to mount the comeback here in the second half, because the way they got smacked by the Chiefs in week 1 and the way they looked in the first half of this game, it looked like Arizona was, going to be a stinker team this year. So good for them to get it together. Kyler Murray definitely made some plays. The Raiders had trouble getting Devontae involved. But at the end of the day, man, I said it in group. They're in overtime. The Raiders basically turned the ball over on 3 straight plays. Hunter Renfrow had a fumble that luckily they recovered. Next play, Derek Carr throws what should have been a interception. Defender just dropped it. And then the very next play, Hunter Renfrow fumbles it again. And Arizona scoop and scored for the touchdown. Crazy game, wild finish. Heartbreaking loss for the Raiders. You said the 0-2 teams haven't made the playoffs in 7-8 years, but starting off 0-2 in a division where Kansas City is 2-0, that's not how you want to get things going early in the season.
Yeah, and right now the Sunday night game, Packers just stopped the Bears on a 4th and goal. They're up by 14. So it looks like unless the Bears able to score here, it looks like the Packers are going to cover. I know we all had the Bears at +10. So
reviewing that, man, Justin Fields looked like he almost got in there.
Well, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I'm going to say he didn't. All right. Anyway. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into our dogs of the week. Kenny, who is your dog of the week? Can't hear you.
My bad. I was doing some typing over here. Didn't want nobody to hear it. My dog of the week is MCDC and company up there biting kneecaps in Detroit, man. I really like what they got going on. I know they let Washington kind of back in it today, but going out and scoring 32 weeks in a row and just kind of bringing that energy and looking good at home. So my dog of the week is going to go to MCDC and the boys up in Detroit.
Craig, who's your dog of the week?
Man, there was a few choices. There was some great ones right there. Sports Baboon saying Tua, definitely a good choice. But I'm going with Mr. Joe Cool himself, and I'm not talking about your boy Joe Burrow. I'm talking about Mr. Joe Flacco, going back to the old AFC North opponent in Cleveland, and not just covering the spread, but leading the Jets to the win. Obviously, the onside kick was huge for the Jets to be able to mount that comeback, but whenever you get the possessions, you got to do something with them, and Joe Flacco did something with them late and led his team to a victory on the road. I mean, that's a big win for the Jets with the starting quarterback out. Joe Flacco comes in, throws 4 touchdowns. So Joe Flacco, my dog of the week.
So my dog of the week goes to Mr. Jalen Watson. We led the show off talking about the Chiefs. This man is the definition of a dog. All right. 3 years ago, he was working at freaking Wendy's with his mom while he was out of school getting his grades right because he couldn't play. Got his grades right. 7th round draft pick. Not expected to play. Plays. Not even expected to make the team, right? You're a 7th round pick. Chances are you're probably not even going to make the team. Makes the team. Then he's not even supposed to play. Gets his opportunity, gets called on, makes the play of the game, 99 yards on the interception, seals the game for the Chiefs. Give it up. Jalen Watson, dog of the week. All right, Craig, give us your big old fat turd of the week. Somebody who really pooped the bed.
All right, my turd of the week is going out to the Bengals offensive line, who've, like you said, 7 straight games now, turning it up. Joe Burrow is the franchise quarterback, and you've got, high-powered weapons, great offensive weapons, and Joe Burrow back there. Just give the man some time, and this could be one of the best offenses in football. But Joe Burrow is constantly running for his life and still able to make plays. I mean, Joe Burrow has proven that he's one of the great young quarterbacks in the league too. But this Bengals offensive line, if they want to win games and compete and get back to the level that they were at deep in the playoffs last year, this offensive line has got to protect Joe Burrow. So going down there to Dallas, allowing 6 sacks and Joe Burrow to get hit 9 times, you just can't keep doing that. So Bengals offensive line, my turd of the week.
Kenny, who's your big old turd of the week here?
Man, I've been back and forth and back and forth. I thought about Matt Rule, but after going through the breakdowns, all the games, man, I got to go with the Browns defense and the way that they just fumbled the bag at the end of the game, let the Jets go score record-breaking points in 2 minutes and to lose that game 31-30. Nick Chubb gives you 3 touchdowns. You're supposed to win that game every time. So I'm going to go with the Browns defense. I had a little last-minute audible there.
So the Browns are taking a big old brownie on that stupid elf in the middle of the field is your turd of the week. Hey, so Johnny is right on the money here. It's now my time for serving up my big fat platter. I just ate Taco Bell. I have the guts from all hell. I just ate 5 bean and cheese beef burritos. and I am taking the biggest turd of the freaking week goes to the Indianapolis Colts. How do you go down to Jacksonville and score 0 freaking points? I picked you as my gosh dang Super Bowl champion. I lost the camera. I picked you as my Super Bowl contender. You're supposed to. Maybe it's the Bodkins curse. Maybe it's whatever it is. But by God, you go down to Jacksonville. You make the trade for Matt Ryan. You say, hey, he's our guy. It was Carson Wentz's fault that we sucked last year at Jacksonville. It wasn't everybody else's fault. No, it's everybody's fault. Frank Wright, I'm looking at you. Get him the freak out of here. I mean, the Colts have got to be fired up. How do you score 0? Don't give me no excuses, Tanner, about how they didn't have nobody. You still had the top running back in the league in Jonathan Taylor. You still have a great offensive line. You still have a good defense, and you scored 0 freaking points. Are you freaking kidding me? You're the Taco Bell fat turd of the week, Colts. Get them out. All right, boys. Go ahead and hit the video, Kenny. You know what time it is. It's time for K&K Fantasy Corner. That's right. It's time for K&K Fantasy Corner. Boys, you got the graphic? Let's start with your guys' must sits, and you guys, your must sits and your don't starts. You got that graphic up?
I sure do.
Here we go. All right, there he is. The man's got it ready. Let's start off there. Let's see how you guys did this week in your must starts and sits of the week. Kenny, go ahead. How'd you do, brother?
It's terrible. I mean, we still have to wait and see kind of how it goes down. Devin Singletary still got to go tomorrow night. My Hunter Renfrow, I really thought he was going to get in the end zone, and he ended up not doing that. Not only did he not get in the end zone, but he fumbled twice in the fourth quarter. So that looked bad. Logan Thomas got in the end zone, though, so that one didn't look too bad. I know Craig ended up picking him up and starting him in fantasy, so that one ended up working out for him. So I'm 1 of 1 right now with Devin Singletary still to go.
And what about your Craig? What about you? Your must starts. How did you do?
The Rex Burkhead must start was a complete swing and a miss. Rex Burkhead had a ton of touches week 1. I thought we would see a big role for him again here in week 2, and he was just not involved. So definitely missed the mark on that one. Brandon Ayuk had an all right game. Didn't go crazy, but he had a solid game. I think he. Last I checked, I thought he outperformed his projection by like 2 points. So, I mean, he was just right there. I mean, pretty close to where he was expected. And then Gerald Everett, I mean, he outperformed his projections too in that Thursday night game. So, I mean, I guess I did all right. If you listened to me and you started Rex Burkhead this week, I mean, greatly apologize for that one.
Craig, what about your must sits here? How did those guys work out for you?
I had Josh Jacobs on my must sits, mainly because in week 1, the Raiders threw the ball a ton. And Josh Jacobs had like 20 touches in this game today. So my reasoning really wasn't there, but I think last I saw Josh Jacobs didn't even hit double digits in the fantasy points this week. So I guess that wasn't a terrible call. Mike Gesicki did get in the end zone today. I said he was on my sit-em list, and so he, I mean, I guess made me look foolish there. He had a few catches. He was involved, did get in the end zone, so he had a decent fantasy day. And then Robert Woods, I'm trying to find right now how Robert Woods did today. Or I guess Robert Woods doesn't play till tomorrow. So yeah. That one's still up in the air. That's why I didn't have anything written down for Robert Woods.
Kenny, what about your must-sits here?
I'm 0 for 1 so far, and I am happy about it because Breece Hall got in the end zone today, had a pretty decent day. Kind of got the starting workload, not the starting workload, got the workload I thought he would get last week to start the season today. So he did get in the end zone. He had a pretty good day on my fantasy bench, but it was good to see him have bounce back. Devontae Smith, Dawson Knox going tomorrow night, so still undecided on those.
All right, we'll get into you guys'. Let's talk waiver wire claim here. Kenny, let's start with you. Give me two two waiver wire claims you're trying to pick up this week, if all possible, or if you just got one, that's okay.
No, I got two. Devin Duvernay is going to be, if you're looking for a flex guy, he's available. He's only rostered in 22% of leagues on NFL.com. I didn't look anywhere else. That's just what we use for fantasy, so that's where I looked. But he's available in 88% of leagues. He's 20 points 2 weeks in a row, or over 15 2 weeks in a row. At 20 points today. Ran the opening kickoff back. If you're looking for a flex guy and he's available in your league, I definitely recommend putting him on your bench. I'm a QB streamer, definitely because I'm in the Russell Wilson market. I'm a QB streamer now. Jared Goff, I think, is only rostered in 28% of leagues. If you can get Jared Goff and you're looking for a streamer, I would definitely throw him in there. The Lions look like they're scoring points.
Yeah, I'll be in the Jared Goff business as Trey Lance was my quarterback, and, well, he's no longer there. All right, Craig, give me two waiver wire pickups here.
So I've got Garrett Wilson as a waiver wire pickup. He's only owned in 25% of leagues, and so far he seems like he might be Joe Flacco's favorite target. At least he'll be a decent play until Zach Wilson comes back. He's got 22 targets now in the first 2 weeks. Week one, he did only put up 9 fantasy points, but this week he put up 30. So if the guy's going to keep on getting a bunch of balls thrown his way, in fantasy, you just want opportunity, man, and he's getting opportunities. So he's definitely a guy to pick up. He was the only one that I had, but if we're going to go ahead and go out here quarterback streaming, I'm just looking in our league. I know he had a bad game today. But Tampa's defense is rough. If you got a stream, man, Jameis Winston might not be a bad stream, especially with Alvin Kamara being out. They didn't look like they were going to be able to run the football much, so I think New Orleans is going to have to rely on Jameis to make some plays. We've seen Jameis can be a guy throw a bunch of touchdowns. Michael Thomas looks like he's back. They've got some weapons to throw the ball to. The big worry you got with Jameis is the turnovers, and those can hurt you in fantasy, but at the end of the day, his stats are all right. And right now, he's rostered in 41% of leagues, so Jameis Winston, not a terrible QB stream.
All right, let's get into studs and duds here. Craig, give me your fantasy stud of the day.
So there was a few studs out there, bunch of guys you really couldn't go wrong with this week. But I'm going to go for a guy that was kind of a little more under the radar, I guess you would say, that you didn't see this huge day coming from, and that's going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. Had a huge day, 39.9 fantasy points in our league, 9 catches, 116 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then also got a couple rushes and broke one loose, had 68 yards on the ground. The big thing that I noticed in this game was how involved St. Brown was and how not involved DJ Shark was. I don't know if that's going to be a big thing going forward or if that was just kind of the matchups in this game. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, killed it this week. I feel like if you had him, you probably had him in a flex spot where some of these other guys that had big days were kind of in the spots where you expect big days. So Amon-Ra St. Brown going to be my stud this week.
Kenny, give me your stud and go ahead and just give me your dud right after that. We'll end on Craig's dud.
All right, my stud of the week is Tua. The day he was able to put together down there 469 yards, 6 touchdowns, man. Obviously you can't expect that kind of consistency, but if he's going to be able to give you 303 tutters every week, man, he's going to be good. But today he was definitely my stud of the week, man. He put up 41 points in our fantasy league on Landez's bench. Landez took a screenshot of it and said, what do you got to say about me carrying Tua now? So it was worth talking shit about. So definitely Tua is my stud of the week. And my dud of the week, unfortunately, from my own team, as the Jonathan Taylor manager, is Jonathan Taylor, man. 7.5 points for the number 1 overall pick is just not going to get it done. Luckily, I was able to looks like I squeaked out the win today. But, man, I'm going to keep getting single digits out of Jonathan Taylor. It's going to be a long season.
Yeah, Tanner chimed in here, and bum is Paris Campbell. Yeah, the whole Colts offense just bums. We gave him the old Taco Bell turd of the week. All right, so hey, folks, this has been. Boys, you got any last comments or anything before we get out of here, Kenny?
No, sorry if you heard all that clicking back there, but no, man, it's a good show. Good night of football. Packers ended up covering. Is that what happened?
Yeah, it's 24-10. Green Bay's getting ready to add a field goal here, maybe a touchdown.
All right, yeah, good. Hey, that's good for the picks. got a big night tomorrow night with 2 Monday night games. So looking forward to that, like the Monday night doubleheader. That's all I got.
Craig, you got any last comments here before we get out of here?
I'm gonna throw you my dud real quick because I didn't throw that out there. My dud this week, I'm going with Kyle
that's right, my bad.
Kyle Pitts kind of got 2 fantasy duds here in a row, and I just feel like where he was being drafted and where fantasy managers took him, you got to get more production out of a guy. You're taking that high in the draft. A lot of people basically Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Kyle Pitts, kind of in that order is how everybody had him, and Kyle Pitts isn't performing anything like those other 2 so far 2 weeks in. Kyle Pitts only 2 catches today, so Kyle Pitts my dud of the week.
All right, boys, this has been another great episode for the Bodkin Show. I appreciate everybody chiming in. Make sure you, again, always hitting that nice little subscribe button. We are on Apple Podcast and Spotify. If you missed our Head Kicks and Haymakers this morning, head over there. It's on Apple Podcasts also and Spotify, also on the Bodkins channel and Let's Talk Sports. Make sure you guys are heading over there. Give it a nice little subscribe. Be a friend. Tell a friend. Share with a friend. I'll be back tomorrow night with my man Tanner Boone and Bodkins coming to you tomorrow night during Monday Night Football. One of the games, about halfway through the first game, I think. So I'll be excited to link back up with my guy Tanner. Make sure you're heading over to Let's Talk Sports. Hit the nice subscribe, the Sports Buffoons, all of those. Appreciate everybody. Be a friend. Tell a friend. Subscribe. Share. You guys know what to do. It's been a pleasure, boys. We'll be back next on Wednesday with our Week 3 preview show, and then back here Sunday night with our Week 3 reaction show. Can't wait. We're here all season. I'm excited. Giving out dogs and turds and studs and duds. We're the only show that gives out big old floppy turds. I know it is. All right, Kenny, hit that outro, baby. It's been another great episode of the Bodkin Show.